Hey everyone, today is going to look a little different because today is different. As you can see next to me, it's our 100th podcast episode. You heard me, 100. We started this back in March of 2022, and it's definitely been something that is a labor of love and something I'm really proud of, and I appreciate everyone following along with us. I appreciate everyone growing with us, and can't wait to be back here in 2 more years celebrating episode 200. So we got a really special one today. Sit back and enjoy. Thanks for being with us. Welcome everyone. I'm Jeffrey Goodman, Director of Marketing and Development for the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana, and we're here at 318 Latino Studios for Shreveport-Bossier, my city, my community, my home. And I'm going to try and keep up with these guys today. Our guests are Mike and Mark Mangham. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you. We appreciate you letting us be here. Now, which is which?
Oh, man, I got it for now. I'm going to probably botch it before it's all over, but Mike, Mark.
That's right. That's right.
I thought you were supposed to say no.
No, I'm sorry.
You did. You got it good. Yeah.
Good. All right, guys. Well, we're going to hop in. So for people out there who don't know, you are the founders and operators of Twin Blends, Northwest Louisiana History Hunters,
Yes.
an incredibly popular group that is preserving the history of our community one photo at a time.
That's right.
Yes.
That's good.
We're going to get into all kind of things Twin Blends wise today, but let's start here. One of the centers of operations for Twin Blends is the LSUS Archives.
Right.
Yes.
I want to deep dive, if I could, your research process. So take me through play by play what it looks and feels like when you go to LSUS Archives to begin your research on something.
Okay. First of all, we want to thank the Northwest
Yes.
Louisiana Archives at LSUS. They have been tremendous
Yes.
to not only us, but the Shreveport area and
Yes.
saving and preserving these old pictures. And you got to realize the Shreveport, they have 1.5 million
Images.
photographs, and just artifacts from Shreveport
Most of them are
past.
in negative form.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in negative form.
And they preserve it. And what we do is we've got an agreement with, to backtrack, anybody can go up there and they have to make an appointment. After COVID, they started wanting people to make appointments. So you walk in the door and there's Furman, Laura, Mike Lamore, they'll help you out. And we sit down, and what we do, and when we first started, we would say, we'd look in the card catalog and we would say, look, Texas Street, 1920s, can you bring us this picture out and this and that? And you write the number down and they go in the back and they retrieve it.
Yeah.
And they were black and whites to start with, but then when we realized we wanted to see the negatives, there's so many more negatives there. So they will bring out, however many boxes we want to look at, and then we would look through each shoebox, and it's got probably 100 envelopes in each shoebox. Some of them may be indexed, some of them may not.
And there's probably 10 or 20 negatives in each envelope, so you're looking at like 1,000 negatives in a box.
In each box and stuff. And so it's like a treasure hunt, because as you're pulling these out, you realize these pictures hadn't been seen probably 40, 50 years, a lot of them. And so we pull them out, and then we have a light source, a light table, and we put the negatives on there. And if we find a negative we think is historic value or noteworthy, what we do is we take a picture of the box that come in, we take a picture of the negative of the envelope, and then we take a picture of the negative. And then when I get home, I'll turn them into black and whites using Photoshop and other tools and stuff like that. Then I name it like Texas Street. I'll name it on the computer, and that way, if we ever do a story or want a picture on Texas Street, I type it in my computer and it'll pull up every picture of Texas Street back then. And
we got with LSUS because they were really, they said, why are you wanting these pictures and stuff? And we explained, and so we signed an agreement with them where we said, when we post these pictures, we're going to always put your photo credits on it, because we want to make sure everybody knows where these photos come from. And so we do that. We put their photo credits on it, and people see that, and they know that those come from LSUS Archives.
And what's a typical, are you typically at the archives when you go for one of these research deep dives for 30 minutes, for 3 hours?
That's a good question. See, a lot of people think that we find a subject and then we run to the library and look it up. Well, no, what we do is when we first started going there about 8 or 9 years ago, we were, asking them to pull this collection out and look at. Well, then Mark got the idea, said, look, bring us your oldest picture, the starting
Oldest box,
and bring it. And so we would just go through each and every box, and then we would see something that would jump out to us that we knew was historical value. We'd take a picture of it and document it, and the rest of them we just flip through. Well, and we've just, over the last 8 years, we've amassed so much.
We would go up there on our vacations, and like if it was open late, it used to be open late on Mondays, we would go up there, and like I say, we spent vacation days up there. We spent hundreds of hours up there combing through, and it's just like a treasure hunt. We get excited.
And when you take a picture of so I should know this, but when you're taking a picture of the negative, you said, and you turn it into a black and white.
Well, he downloads it from his phone to his computer.
Yeah, I'll take a picture of it, and then when I get home, I'll have probably 100, or sometimes it'll be 500 or 600 pictures that I took in that collection, and then I'll download it to my computer, and then I'll go on. Actually, I have Microsoft Digital Image Pro, which is from the 90s, but I love using that tool, and I'll turn all of them into black and whites, and then save it as a black and white, and then name the file, and that way, like I said, all I got to do is type in M. Levy or something it'll pull up anything that I've ever named in.
So we amass all that, and then, like I say, if something has like a 100-year anniversary, like the Strand, we found out that it's going to be the 100-year anniversary, so we made a post on it, and we typed in Strand on his computer, and it pulled all the pictures up, and we posted it. And I forget her name at the Strand. She contacted us, and she said a lot of those pictures she had never even seen. So she wanted us to be a part of, getting that together with pictures, and we're going to be a part of that. So. And
there's really, in your experience so far, there's no one else in the community who has quite the collection that LSUS Archives has in terms of these historical photos.
Yeah,
we know of. It's
well, you got to realize they have 1.5 million. Okay. 330,000 of those are the Shreveport Times negative, starting from the late 40s all the way up to the early 2000s, and they have access and rights to it, the Shreveport Times does, and we went and got authorization from the Shreveport Times editor to go through their collection, and we do the same thing. We put credits and make sure, and a lot of times people, if they're doing stories or they want to know about their ancestors, they'll contact us, because if they go to the library really doesn't have a way to document it and know that. And since we've documented so much, we can tell them where to go look.
I think, what I'm hearing, which I think people, I can appreciate this a little bit through my podcast work, it's one thing to do this hunting and finding, it's another thing to document it properly.
Yes.
So as you move forward, your work becomes more and more valuable because you've cataloged, you've taken the time to catalog it.
Yep. And like I say,
properly.
LSUS will call us from time to time or email us and say, so-and-so, this person is looking for this picture. Do y'all have any? And we'll look in collection this, and this, and we'll tell them exactly where to go look.
Yeah.
It's really neat because, like I say, we've had some people say, we do it we do it, and then we charge a little bit if they want us to do a special story or for their ancestors and find pictures. And sometimes they'll say, we'll just go look it up ourselves. And we're like, good luck. We're not trying to be mean, but it's you go up there, it's just.
They have a lot that's indexed, but there's a lot that's not, because, it's hard to index 1.3 million or whatever negatives, but.
Yeah, I think it's extraordinary what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
We have fun doing it. We just enjoy it. So.
Well, my next question for you is just take me through a little bit and talk to me a little bit about how you prioritize what stories you want to tell and what projects you want to pursue.
Well, like I say, if something's in the news, like 100-year anniversary or something like that, we're like, wow, we got some pictures of that. Let's do that while it's in the news and on people's minds. Or some people will say, they'll message us and say, hey, my parents, we ran the Kokomo's. Do y'all have any pictures of that? And that happened. And we had a lot of pictures we'd come across, and we made a post. And they're just so appreciative, because we know that people will be interested in the Kokomo drive-ins and stuff like that. So if people message us with that and we have that, then we'll go look at old newspapers online and get some more information on that and put that all into a story. And we're not reporters, and we're a lot of people say, y'all need to do a story on this and that. We're like, well, we can only do stories on stuff that we have pictures of and that we think that everybody will like a historical importance. And we're not by any means experts, history experts. We leave that to Dr. Gary Joyner, Dr. Cheryl White,
Ernie Robertson,
people like that. So, and we're communicating with them because, like I say, we're just two nerds that used to play sports. Now we do this, but our goal is to highlight the spotlight on the people of the past, the photographers, our parents, grandparents, great grandparents, all the people in these pictures that you see come before us that we feel like they're getting, just forgotten about, and and we're just trying to shine a spotlight on them and honor them, and that's our goal. It's not about Twin Blends; it's about shining a spotlight on the photographers and the people of the past that help make this city. So
absolutely. Well, I can only imagine how fascinating it's been since you guys started this work. Tell me, if you could, one or two of the most interesting and or surprising historical discoveries you've made since first beginning Twin Blends.
That's what we were talking about earlier. We found a lot, so many, but I guess to narrow it down, one of my favorites, because I was there and Mark wasn't that day, I was looking through a Jack Barham collection, and a lot of Jack Barham collections, it's not indexed, so when you're...
And tell them who Jack Barham is, for people that don't know.
I'm sorry, yeah. Good,
sometimes
good
we assume, but
yeah. He was a photographer for the Shreveport Journal, and a very famous photographer. He won a lot of awards, and actually, he passed away a couple years ago.
But when John Wayne would come in town and people like that, they would call him to go take pictures and ride with him and stuff like that.
And so he had a collection, and we got to meet him before he passed away, as a matter of fact. But anyway, we would go through his collection. I lost my train of thought. You go ahead and finish what I was saying.
I lost it too. I'm your twin, so you were like, what you found?
Well, I know that's the drive-ins is what I was going to say is I looked through an envelope and it had a number. And
where was his personal collection?
I'm sorry.
Where was Jack's housed?
It was at Northwest Louisiana. 98% of the stuff that we find is at the archives.
Okay.
And we looked through Jack Barham collection, and I was going through a box, and it just had a number, 2108, and I was pulling it out, and it had about 15 negatives, and it was every picture of every drive-in that's ever been in Shreveport.
A negative,
a negative, and they were high definition pictures, but the negatives were starting to degrade. And you got the Don Drive-In, the Joy Drive-In, the Sunset Drive-In. There was the King's Drive-In, which we'd never even heard of, and a lot of people. It was in Broadmoor, where the Shreve Memorial Library is now. A lot of people over there had never heard of it either. So I was like just blown away because we love the Sunset Drive-In. Yeah. And we always remember that was one of our main pictures when we went down there to try to find a picture of that. And here I'm pulling these negatives out left and right. So to me, that was my favorite to find.
So that's an interesting thing you bring up that I hadn't even thought about. So let's talk for a second about preservation. Mm-hmm. So the archives is storing these and protecting them. Like when a negative is degrading, like what can we possibly do? What happens when who is ensuring or protecting our past and making sure that something isn't going to degrade to the point where it's no longer.
LSUS is doing their job by housing in a climate controlled area. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's just somebody said, well, somebody should just go there and digitize all of them. But 1.3 million negatives. That's just impossible. And so we're going, like I say, we're going through and trying to digitize the stuff that's historically important. A lot of the negatives we go to, especially like the Manasco collection. To back up, LSUS Archives a couple of years ago, they called us. They said, we have the Robert Manasco collection. He was a famous photographer here in town. And the negatives, they had them in a separate room on the side. They said, all these negatives have been here for 10 years. We don't have the manpower right now to go through them. Would y'all be interested? We're like, we jump right on that. So we would go up there and we walk into this room, and it's huge. It's just lined with huge boxes of negatives. And so we would go up there and, as much as we could, and we'd go through, and a lot of the negatives, some of them are 75 years old, and they're just some of them are bricked together, and you just barely, we have the gloves on, we're trying to peel them apart, and then we digitize them. And so that way, when the negative destroys, at least you have a digital image of it. And we did that with his whole collection. Some of them were weddings, some of them were just random pictures, but we went through and they had some amazing old pictures that we found in there that really hadn't been seen in years.
There were some from the Louisiana Hayride, Kitty Wells, the Sunshine Boys. We're not country music fans, so we don't know who Kitty Wells is. But when we found these pictures, it had a picture of all of them. And then I got to look at the Sunshine Boys, and it typed in, it said Kitty Wells. And so I just Googled her, and I was like, oh my gosh, famous Hall of Famer, Nashville Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It started out, at the Louisiana Hayride.
So we went and digitized that whole collection. Well, the ones that were historically significant, it would have been impossible to do them all. And like I say, a lot of them are weddings and just pictures of flowers and vases and business equipment, but we went through and documented all the ones like that historically important. And so, one of them, there was a brick, and the only picture that I can get out, I got one little sliver off of there, and it was the El Chico's on Greenwood Road when it was
El Patio.
El Patio, and they had, and I'm like, wow, that would have been destroyed, and so we were able to digitize that.
And what's neat is when you pull these pictures up and you see the old cars, that's what really brings you back, the Model Ts and stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it a little bit later, but the Thurman C. Smith collection, which was this was just a blessing on us. It's a long story, but we had access to thousands of old photos that were almost thrown away. So anyway.
And just stupid question, but rough guess, both of you. So, okay, let's say the archives has 1.4 million photos. How many to date do you think you've digitized?
I would say...
You got the computer. I don't know. I have no idea how he does any of that stuff on the computer, videos. And
it's probably over 10,000, I'd say, because just like say one envelope has 10 or 12, and we've done
plus
so
you
much.
got to count. You got a picture of the box, you got a picture of the envelope, then you got a picture of whatever it is. There may be 10, 20 negatives in that envelope.
If you had the picture by itself, you have to have where it come from, because when we first started, we made the mistake of not documenting it. It was like, where did this? And so we had to go back and start again because it's just like a needle in a haystack. Yeah. So.
Awesome. All right, so this next question is going to come from a complete place of jealousy and envy, and I'm going to go ahead and preface it that way. So you guys have developed an extraordinary following since first starting Twin Blends 9 or so years ago, I think. So talk to me a little bit. You don't have to share your secret sauce, but tell me a little bit about your marketing approach and process and what you've done to cultivate and grow such a following.
Okay, before you get into the details, he'll go into what we do. When we first started out, we hate the
boss.
word.
He's the bossy one. I'm the oldest, 3 minutes, but he's the boss. You can tell.
Yeah, whatever. But anyway, we like to call them, don't like followers, we like teammates, because we grew up playing sports, and so when people ask us, y'all have this many followers, well, no, we have that many teammates, because the way we've always seen it was everybody's history. It's not just our history, it's everybody's history, and it would be selfish of us to have these and not show everybody and share it with everybody. So when you share it and listen and make them a part of it, they're your teammates. So that's what we love, the teammates
because
aspect.
people come to us and tell us stories, so they sell us their pictures,
and we learn stuff.
And they're right. We're all part of a team. So and we're able to, like I say, when we have subjects we think that everybody will appeal to a broad range, we'll put that out there, and we'll try to tag as many people involved, because a lot of pictures involve a lot of different people and a lot of different companies from the past, and we'll try to tag that, and we tag the Shreveport Times, because a lot of that pictures are from their collection. And Henrietta Wildsmith with the Shreveport Times have been great, man. She really has been great and helped us a lot. And she'll a lot of times put it on the front page and stuff like that. But we try to do it that, like I say, to showcase and spotlight the people of the past.
Once we
and
get
I think
it
that
up,
I'm talking.
No.
See, bossy,
I'm trying to help you out.
And I think that resonates. Sorry.
That's why I talk over you.
Resonates with a lot of people, and like I say, a lot of people are wanting to, a lot of Facebook pages, and we talk about this a lot. We've talked about this today. A lot of people on a lot of Facebook pages want to focus on the negative Shreveport. They'll see a crime, and then they'll get shared, and then they'll update. So it looks like it's all this bad crime. And so our thing is that there's a lot of good and a lot of history, a lot of good people here. Let's focus on that, spotlight on that, and have people share that, and that gives you a better reputation and stuff like that.
People are drawn to that. They're positive, but tell them exactly how we grow it, how once we make a post and people
Can I do the long version?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Well, anyway, we make a post, and like I say, we try to tag as many people. Well, then if it gets like 1, 2, 3, 400 likes, you go into the likes and you look and see who likes, and they got that button to the right. It says invite. And we don't just go invite, because some people may be up somewhere. They may like the story, but they may live in Baltimore, and they really wouldn't be interested in following us. So we'll go and click on their profile, and we'll look and see where they're from, if they have any connections to the area. If they're like from Dubai or somewhere, block, because there's people that try to infiltrate. Yeah. So we do a deep dive and look and see, information, or if their profile's blocked or something like that, have no connection. Anyway, but we try to look and see people who are from this area, maybe have friends and family, and we'll invite them. We'll hit invite, and something like that. And we try to look for posts that appeal to the mass, area. So, and I told Mike years ago, I said, the one thing that we have in common with everyone in Shreveport is Shreveport. I mean, because or Shreveport-Bossier, we like to say Shreveport, but Shreveport-Bossier City and the surrounding area, because that's everybody's history. Whether they were from here or they're here now or their grandparents live here, they have a lot of connection with us. So we're part of a team. So
are the social media activities shared responsibilities, or are you're the technical guy?
Okay,
why do you have to ask that question?
Say that's a great question. 98% of Twin Blends is going to be from
No.
Okay, he corrects the spelling and tell him what you always say.
Oh, I always say, he'll send me something. He'll say, okay, because he's more creative. I'm more fact-based OCD. And other than that, we're just about identical in our thinking, but we have great, my strengths are his weaknesses, my whatever. But he'll send me something. This is what we need to say. And my job is to edit it and stuff. And I'll Mike, were you asleep in English class? Do you not know where a comma goes or where parentheses go? And I'm like, that's a big running joke, because he'll send me something. I'm like, okay, you're kidding me, right? So I'll go and edit it and put it in, where it's easy to understand and stuff. So, but I got to say this: if you look at our videos, Mike does a lot of the talking on the videos. And it's because he told me one day, he said, man, I'm tired of doing all the talking. You need to do the talking now. He said, we're in front of this building. He said, you need to say this. And he looked at me and my eyes were glazed over. He said, you ain't going to remember that, are you? And I said, nope, I got one, maybe two things. And so that's why I make him do all the talking.
Well, he's doing a lot of talking now, which I like. Hey, go for it.
And so you have a website, is that right?
No, we
Not
have
yet.
a Facebook page.
Okay, you have a Facebook page, which is let's say your number one hub is your Facebook page.
Yes.
You're also Instagram
And YouTube.
And YouTube.
Twitter.
We don't have Twitter.
No, we don't have Twitter. No.
Okay.
No, we don't know how to tweet. No.
But so let's say your primary posts are photos that have been blended along, usually with some sort of history, written text.
Yeah.
And
we don't deep dive it. People will say, what about this, this, and this? And it's like, we got so much out there to post that we can't really go deep dive all into stuff. So we try to hit the information that people remember, and then we move on to the next subject, because there's so much. But, and like I say, we're not experts, so we don't want to go deep dive in all this stuff, but we like to hit it, make it fun for everybody. And we do funny stuff in the videos, just try and make it fun for people, because you can read stuff in the book, but if you see a video and pictures and all that, I think it's more interesting. So,
but it's more photos and than videos, right? It's mostly photos.
Now we have a lot of videos. And actually, we counted up one time, and we have over 1 million views on all of our videos, because Hamels by itself, somebody sent us a picture of a Hamels log ride, Hamels Amusement Park. We posted it with their name and a little story behind it, and it had over 100,000 views just on that. So,
I saw it. It was great.
Yeah,
it
brings back a lot of
me
memories.
back. For sure.
So.
Awesome.
And another thing is, when we first started off, we called ourselves Twin Blends Photography. And people were coming up to us and asking us, do y'all do weddings? Do y'all do this or that? And we're like, well, we probably need to change our name, because we're not photography experts. We use it as a tool, one of our many tools. And so we changed it. We was like, well, we hunt history, and we do a lot of our research in Northwest Louisiana Archives and Northwest Louisiana area. So we said, we'll just do Twin Blends Northwest Louisiana History Hunters instead. Kind of explains better what we do. So.
And if this all, you guys are passionate about this, you've done incredible work. If this all kind of continues on this trajectory, in an ideal world, where is Twin Blends in 5 years? How does this grow, or what does it look like as it continues to grow?
That's a great question. I don't think anybody's ever asked us that.
I would like it to have been part of Shreveport's growth, Shreveport's comeback, Shreveport's revival of history. And because when people talk bad about Shreveport, we're insulted. We feel like they're talking about our parents, great-grandparents, because we've delved so much in these photos and stuff, and we have a connection with the people of the past. And so we would love to have been part of something that grew out of Shreveport, something that's positive, like that.
Yeah, to be part of that. So in 100 years, they can look back, hopefully, and say, well, Twin Blends was instrumental in getting Shreveport back on the positive, so.
Love that. All right, so I think y'all were there this morning, maybe, but I was recently in the newly opened and renovated Cooper's Corner building on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport, and I spotted some incredible work by you guys. So tell me a little bit about your collaboration with the Cooper's Corners folks during their renovation and how that all came about.
Okay. Actually, it was the photographers of the past work. We just facilitated it.
Yeah.
But actually, we've always loved that area. And when they were remodeling, we were like, man, they're going to do something to that building because it's sat vacant for so many years.
Well, let me back up real quick. When we were sitting at Rhino
I was going to get to that.
Yeah, but you've been talking for 2 hours
Okay, go
now.
ahead.
Okay, when we were sitting at Rhino Coffee, we were just drinking coffee and looking at that building when it was nothing, and we said, man, they need some big old pictures on the side of that building, right there on the side. Well, then years later.
Oh, you going to let me talk, man? Okay.
Years later.
Anyway, and so we got a call from William O'Brien, and he said, we're renovating the building, and do y'all have any old pictures of this building in this area? And we're like, matter of fact, we do. And so he commissioned us, and we would go back into our archives and look around, and we sent him a bunch of old pictures like you saw on the wall. Anyway, a bunch of old pictures of that building and that area. And also I said, well, you know what? I'll go on newspapers.com, which we have a subscription of and really helps us with information. And I started pulling up old newspaper articles of that building and that location from 1864 and on. And so I started sending them to him, and he didn't ask for those, but I started sending them to him, and he's like, man, these are great. And then he said, man, we're going to put these on the bill, put them, make a collage and all that. And so he met us down there, and he walked us through the building and showed us everything. And we were amazed. The floors where they uncovered as a linoleum or something on the second floor, and they found all the original wooden floor, and they were blown away. It was beautiful. And so we took pictures and made a post, and we were really impressed with everything that they're doing.
Did you see the plaque? Talk about the plaque.
Well, I ain't got there yet, but
I thought
there
you
was
were
a plaque
finishing
when
up.
we first went there. This has been a month or so ago, and there was a plaque on the front, and we didn't realize it, but he had already written a bunch. At the end, he said, "I want to thank 20." We didn't even know. At that point, we haven't done anything but send him a couple pictures and a couple of old articles, and we were just blown away that he included us in that, in that historical building.
And let me also back up to say we didn't send him our pictures. What we did was we sent him some examples of the old pictures from the archives, with LSUS's credit across there, and he selected the ones that he wanted. Then we went to the archives and purchased the rights to them, and digitally they gave some high resolution copies and stuff like that. So.
And like I say, we didn't know that they had put them up yet. William, you didn't tell us. Anyway, and so when you told us, we went by there today.
Yeah,
we were going to go
didn't know.
downtown to eat at the Glass Hat Cafe, and we stopped in. We looked in the windows, and we're like, man, they're already up. He's right.
Yeah.
And so we called William. He said, well, come on in. And so we got in there, and we made a little video and took pictures, and they had that panorama on the wall. We were like, man, that is just beautiful. And me and Mike have said for years, we don't understand why a lot of these businesses downtown don't have those old pictures up and show people the history. Mm-hmm. I think that would draw people downtown to see what the history of this city used to be.
I love that. And I would encourage, I completely agree with everything y'all just said. I know William, he was kind enough one day to take me through the building, and I think I'd already talked to y'all, and I told him I was going to have you on the podcast, and I was just blown away by that. Everything you showed this morning, the photo collage as well as the wall with the panorama and the newspaper articles. So 2 things. One, I encourage everyone in Shreveport-Bossier to go look at Cooper's Corner as just a model of what other people can do downtown, and just a model of preserving their history and finding ways to kind of tell the story of where their buildings were.
Right. And we could tell you this also, if people go to the Caddo Parish Courthouse, they commissioned us a couple of years ago. They said, we want some old pictures around the room, the license room and stuff.
The clerk of court.
And we went through and looked in our collection of the LSUS Archives pictures, and we picked out like 24 of the best, we thought, the best pictures. And so we went down, like Mike said, we purchased them. They gave us high scan resolution of them, and gave them to the clerk
We have
of
them
court.
printed out for them and stuff.
And so they matted them, put them along the wall. We had a Then and Now Shreveport, Then and Now video that's playing in the records room. And then last year they contacted us again and wanted more. And Karen Culverson and Mike Spence's office, clerk of court, and they've been fantastic. And so we gave them like 24 more pictures, and they're lined up along the wall. And we said, what you need, there's a blank wall over here. You need a drive-ins, all the drive-ins. And so they took all the drive-ins and put on the wall there, and now they got a little place for the restaurants. And so if you want to go see the biggest collection downtown, would have to be the Cattle Parish Courthouse, and the records room and all that. They got all these pictures up, and it's great. It's
what's neat when you walk in the Clerk of Courts, right there on the wall is our picture of Twin Blends, our Twin Blends theme picture, and then you walk in, you see all these pictures in the marriage room. They got 4 of our blends, big 11 by 14 blends, and it's got a video, our then and now
Shreveport then and now video playing constant. I'm sure those women there are tired of seeing that over and over and over, but it's really good. They've been really good.
I need to go see that. I hadn't seen that yet. I definitely will.
Well, it starts off with our favorite interest. We had fun. We did the superhero landings. We come down where we're like, just like Superman and stuff. We enjoyed doing that, but we tell everybody that's why we had to have knee surgery. Did that over and over.
Yeah, we just have a lot of fun. Like I say, we're trying to get younger people involved because a lot of our demographic, a lot of people that follow us are older, but we do have young people follow us. We were in the Glass Hat Cafe eating one day, and a young guy and his wife came in, and he was like, "Remember this picture?" And he had gotten a picture from us of the Red River Bank building back in the day, and we're like, Colby, "Oh yeah, Colby." Yeah. And so they're young and they follow us, and we have people all the time stop us and stuff, young people.
Yeah.
That's good. As a matter of fact, we've had several history teachers around the city contact us and say they use our pictures and stories, LSUS's pictures and stories, in our post to tell the history of this town. And that's a big compliment.
Well, it's interesting y'all say that. So I had Gary Joyner on here, and I asked him.
Yeah, we saw that. I
asked him point blank. I said, and probably the same for y'all. I said, when I grew up here in 8th grade, I had Louisiana history. Mm-hmm. I said, but I remember very little Shreveport history. And I really feel like it would be beneficial to cultivating greater pride here locally.
It starts with the younger generation.
Right. So I would love to see, I've talked to Robert Trudeau about this too. Yeah. I'd love to see some little curriculum built and shared with our generations coming up to make them better understand where we've been.
I wish we'd had that. Yeah.
Well, and I think too that when people drive downtown like we did for years, you just see blocky buildings. You don't really understand. You don't think about the history. And we weren't really into that history. We loved looking at old pictures growing up. Can I tell you how we started off at Twin Blends?
You can tell me anything you want.
Okay. Anyway,
well, not everything. No.
I'm the better looking, but anyway, now you got me off track. But how we started was we both grew up in Southern Hills, Summer Grove area. And we got on the Facebook page, If You Grew Up in Southern Hills, created by Mark and Barry Walker, who we later met and we're great friends with now. But anyway, they were on there talking. People were talking about old places that no longer exist in Summer Grove and Southern Hills. Well, Mike had been to the library at this point. This has been years ago, and he started posting some pictures on there. People of Summer Grove. People were just eating it up. And so Mike said, and we said, we got to go back to the library and find some more old pictures of Summer Grove, Southern Hills. And so when we did, Summer Grove, Southern Hills, not that old a community, but we started going down to the library and seeing these old pictures of downtown, 1900s and stuff. That hooked us right there. That's how it started. It hooked us. And the people there at the archives were they were so supportive of us. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it started. And then we started posting pictures with their permission of the old stuff in Shreveport. And then I had the idea one day. I said, well, let's go to the same spot where that photographer took a picture in 1910. Let's get a side-by-side, a now picture, and we can have them side-by-side. And what did you tell?
I always say this. It was a great idea.
No, he didn't either. No, he didn't. He said, that's the dumbest idea. He said, ain't nobody going to care what it looks like now.
It's ugly.
And I said, but you got to realize, if they're like me, I like taking an old and new and looking and seeing what's changed and what hasn't. Because I look there and go, man, those brick patterns are still from the brick patterns from 1900. And so we started doing that, and people just really ate that up, and they started liking it more. And I'm kind of OCD, and I want to get everything in the right position because I hate seeing a now and then picture, taken at the wrong angle, and you can't really tell the difference. So I'm like lining things up perfect. Well, one day he gets home and he's going to see if they're lined up. So you fill in the part now.
I was going to see if it lined up, and then I did a little transparent fade. And when I did, the colors popped, the color pictures with the black and whites. And I was like, Mark, you got to see this. But let me back up a little bit.
And he told you I already saw it.
Yeah.
I had the idea.
Yeah, well, and let me tell you this. He said he's OCD. He's very OCD. But it's easy to be OCD when you don't do all the work. Because he'll go, hey, that's good, but you need to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, that's 3 more hours of work for me. But anyway, it's worth it because, like I said, when I transparent it, I faded it, it just made it come alive. And we had never seen anybody do anything like that.
Later, we saw that people were doing World War II and stuff,
Yeah.
and that was fascinating. Yeah. But we'd never seen it at the time, and we started doing that, and it was great. But we realized when you have an old and new picture blended, you got the old black and white, and you kind of need something new color to let people know it's new. It's not just old. And so one day we were sitting there, we had a building, and this yellow Mustang pulled up, and we took a picture, and Mike got home and blended it, and when he blended it, the yellow car was right in front, right bumper to bumper with an old 50s car. Mm-hmm. And man, that just popped. And we said, okay, now we need a colorful car or something like that. And so that's why sometimes people would see us on the side, on the corner downtown waiting, and we're waiting for a good car to come by.
Shreveport has the ugliest cars.
It's
white, black,
gray, black. And we'd be like, wait, there's a yellow Mustang coming. Oh, it turned, dang it. So we finally would wait and get that good shot. And that way when he blended, that color would just be good contrast and all. So
tell people, just, you don't have to spend a long time telling them, but I think this is good advice. So you guys are on this very beneficial creative path, but I think both of you still have full-time jobs. So for people who are listening to you going, man, I'm gonna do what Twin Blends does, and that's what I'm gonna do for my living. Just right.
Well, it's hard to make a living.
Yeah, it's hard to
make.
You can't really make a living at it, but
maybe in the future.
Yeah, when we retire.
We both have full-time jobs now. I work with Nabisco, and Mark works for ITG Tobacco, and we've been with our companies for a long time. And during the week, we do our normal jobs, and then at night sometimes, and on the week, especially Saturday mornings, we do all our creative twin blend stuff. And so it takes a lot. It's like, say, 8 years accumulation of all that.
It takes time, patience, and a passion.
Yeah.
Because, we get excited about stuff. And, there'd be times where we're like, man, do we really want to go downtown, and do that? And sometimes we don't, but most of the times we do. Or we'll get a message or see somebody on the street, and they're like, man, and the other night we went to speak at the Oaks, a retirement facility. And, almost everybody there follows us. Yeah. And they're like, man, we just really appreciate that. And that makes our day. That gives us when people message us and talk and make comments and they reconnect, that just gives us added energy to keep up.
And we're always surprised, like if we're on the street or something, people say, hey, like when we were walking up down Market Street right here in front of the building, a guy pulls over and he goes, hey, what are y'all doing today, man? I follow y'all. I like your stuff. It always shocks us. It's like, really?
For people trying to, I'm so fascinated by your following and like how you've been able to grow on the social media side. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's important, like if you were kind of guiding or advising people, do you think it's important to be interactive in social, meaning like you're not just putting out content. I mean, you're engaging.
That's it, engaging. I think that's the key.
If people comment on something you put out there, you guys take the time to
we do.
respond.
We immediately respond, and we love seeing people connect, going, hey, Miss Barbara, I haven't seen you since 7th grade, and they connect.
Well, and we connect with them too. And like I say, if they message us, within an hour, we'll try to message them back.
We try to be on top of that because, that's, we're all part of a team, and I know if I would message somebody, I'd be like, well, they never answer me. I wonder, but we try to do that because, like I say, we're all part of a team.
And I think people see that we're approachable. We're not like, it's all about us, which it's not, because we just feel like Mark said, we're the flashlight shining the spotlight on the people that really made the difference.
And when we grew up, believe it or not, we were extremely introverted growing up because being twins, my mom dressed us alike. Everywhere we went, it's like, look at the twins. So we're just like, can we just blend into we had no confidence, blend in, and even in college, we'd go to centenary, we'd go to classes. We always took the same classes, and we would pull up and we'd go, okay, we don't want people to stare at us, so you go in first. And so he'd go in, and 5 minutes later I'd go in. You think that would solve the problem? Nope. It'd be like, oh my gosh, you just walked through. Like, God, can we just blend in?
Anyway. But after a while, our thing is, we don't want to be, we want to love people. Our main thing
Yeah.
is we love people.
And we spot people like
And you
that.
can feel that.
Yeah,
we can
really?
see
with y'all.
Well, I
Thank you.
appreciate that
Thank
because
you.
when we go places, we see people that were like us growing up that like really in the quiet. We try to get them involved
Yep.
because everybody has that little. Most people have that. Well, should I say something? Should I don't? So we try to get them involved and make them feel part of it. And and a lot of people message us that and thank us and send us letters. And there's a lady. This may be off subject, but a lady.
There's no off subject.
Well, the lady messaged, I called Mike, and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, "I got tears in my eyes now. My dad has Alzheimer's. How are you? Alzheimer's. Anyway, and so she said, I can't really connect with him, but when I show him y'all's pictures, his eyes light up. He starts connecting and telling me about this. His mom did this and that. She said, I can't explain how important that is. Mm-hmm. I mean, that makes our job. I mean, it just makes it so much easier. We just love that. Gives us fuel. So
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
a lot of people there are a lot of people going through different things in their life, and we just. We want to just share the love, because that's what we're all about. We love people. We want to bring people together.
People are going through all kinds of stuff. We've been personally last couple of years through some really tragic stuff. So we just really want to love people and have everybody come together. We're just a big
bringing
family.
Shreveport together, because a lot of people try to divide us, but we want to bring people together because we all have a common history,
Yeah, and we actually next month we have a meet and greet at the Glass Hat Cafe, and that's a chance for us to meet people, to come down and see people and talk to them. And also we have an event in June that we just announced. We got with Summer Grove Baptist Church. South Park Mall.
Sure,
Did you ever go to South Park
Absolutely.
Mall?
Yeah.
We did too.
Yeah.
And so, a couple of years ago, we went through there and made a video, and with Mark and Barry Walker and Summer Grove permission. And we thought, man, we got to have something here. We got with them and we said, what if we have like a Twin Blend Celebrate South Park Mall Day? And we're going to have that in June the 8th, I think.
June the 8th, Saturday, June the 8th.
Saturday, and we're going to have everybody. We're going to be having a big wall set up with the wall's there, but the projection's showing old old pictures of South Park Mall. People can walk up and down the mall and see, and they've made it beautiful. Of course, a lot of the stores are closed up, and what they painted them is beautiful. What they did with it, and I think people like to reminisce, come back and see their places they worked, places they shopped, and meet their friends and talk about old times. And so we're just going to have that big gathering there.
I love
think
that.
will be
and
good.
y'all do a lot of, talk a little bit more. Y'all do a lot of public events. You did recently completed some events at the library.
Yeah, the library. Well, we spoke at the Rotary Club downtown several months ago, and we were asked we were talking to people afterwards, and a guy walked up and put a card in Mike's pocket. He said, I got to talk to you in a minute. I got some ideas that I can use. And it was the
director of the Shreve Memorial Library. I forget what his name is.
John Tuggle.
Yeah, that's it. John Tuggle. Yeah. And anyway, Loretta contacted us, and we started doing all this. And she just got back with us the other day and said,
we started speaking. You said
Yeah.
we all done
I'm sorry,
this.
go ahead.
We were They wanted to speak at several of the libraries, and we spoke like at 5 or 6 of them. First night, the first one we had at Broadmoor Baptist, there were over 70 people show up. We didn't know if anybody would show up, be interested, and then we were shocked. And then we had a couple more. Then our last one was at the Southern Hills one, and there was 100 people show up. We were shocked.
But get this, we had a special surprise that night for us, which we were blown away.
Oh, yeah.
We get up, and a friend of ours is in the audience, and we asked people what they want before we get started. Do y'all have any questions? And she raised her hand. I said, "You have a question?" She said, "No, I don't have a question, but I got something for y'all." And she stood up, and she had
she said, "I'm here as a representative of Speaker Mike Johnson's office," and she had a certificate of achievement, and it had twin blends and all that, and
for the work we do.
And see, we usually both have the same reactions on stuff, but it was different because he got emotional, and I was in shock. I was like, this has twin blends on it from Speaker Mike Johnson, and because all the years we've been doing stuff, we don't ask for accolades, but we really haven't gotten, and to get that, it was just a shock for me, and we were just. Where do you go from there? So
it's deserved.
I appreciate that. I think, and what another special thing is the Thurman C. Smith collection that we were going through. We were able to have him stand up. He was there, and the first one was Broadmoor. He was there.
And who is he for people who don't know who he is?
Thurman C. Smith. I just assumed. Sorry, Thurman C. Smith is a very famous photographer from this area, and from
he had his own studio on Market Street down there for years, from the 50s all the way to I think 2015, and he took a lot of personal pictures, a lot of business pictures for businesses.
A lot
and
of
stuff.
great pictures.
And he had a studio. This is a story in itself. We have access. We've
Tell
gotten
them, go
access.
ahead, and before we get to that, tell
Okay.
them how I got started with the Thurman C. Smith collection.
The backup.
Yeah.
Okay. One day I was at the LSUS Archives, and Laura McLemore, she said, I really wish I could have got the Thurman C. Smith collection. His son Scott called me a couple of years ago, and his dad has thousands of old negatives. And she said, I lost contact, and during COVID, I didn't have any way to document it or, manpower. So I was like, gosh, so it took us a year to find Scott. We finally got a hold of him, and I called him one Monday morning. He said, you're not going to believe this. I woke up this morning 30 minutes ago, and I was laying in bed going, I need to do something with my dad's career, all of his negatives and stuff, and I'm afraid that they're going to deteriorate and then lose them. And he said, I thought about y'all, Twin Blends. He said, I wonder if Twin Blends would be interested in these photos. And we're like, oh my gosh. And so we didn't realize the scope of it. So he took us to the studio that's been closed up since 2015. Thousands and thousands.
Yeah, he took this wooden wall, like the panel wall. He opened up a closet, and it was like huge boxes. And at the bottom, it said like 1950, 1951. And they're just stuffed with all these envelopes, that whole place. And we loaded up the trailer. We were going to take, our first plan was to take them to the LSUS Archives and look on their light source. But it was the collection was so vast, we're like, can't do that. That'd take us forever. So we took trailer loads and trailer loads.
First trailer, we had 80 boxes.
Yeah.
These boxes are this long with this, and probably 2,000 negatives in each one. And we unloaded 80 at his house, then we come back and loaded 80 more and took it to my house, and then we still
in
had
the garage because they had a smell because
Yeah.
the negatives are deteriorating. So we'd have to use a mask and gloves going through this in our garage overnight.
It took us a year, but we finally documented it and went through it. And he was there, and a lot of his photos
at the Shreveport Memorial Library when we were speaking,
Yeah.
and so we were able to say, how many people's heard of Thurman C. Smith? They raised their hand. How many people would love to say hi to Thurman C. Smith? And he stood up. I mean, he's 95. We didn't even know he was still alive. But we were able to get him there, and he went there to a couple speaking engagements, and people were able to honor him and stuff like that.
And where are his photos today?
They're in my house. They're in my back.
Yeah, and Scott is still going through, and he's still finding in his dad's studio, and he'll give them to us as he finds them. But our goal is to hurry up and document those, digitize them. That way, we can give them back to Thurman, so he can give us the pictures, the negatives, and the digitized version, and donate them in his name to LSUS Archives. So
and see what we did, we culled them, the ones that's got just family photos and just pictures of trees and stuff. He
did a lot of commercial work, like machinery and stuff like that. But
so we picked the ones that had historical value, and we saved all those and digitized. And a story I like to tell is in the very back room of the studio, we went back there and we had to have flashlights, and because it was dark and it was closed up. Well, they had these huge boxes, and I pull out a big 8x10 negative back in the old days. And the first negative I pull out is a streetcar in downtown Shreveport. I mean, you can see a Model T in the very background.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we were honored. We tell them, we're honored that they trusted us.
Absolutely.
For him to trust us with his dad's life work, his life work. And, we told him we'd go through there. We felt honored, go through there and document all that and then give him back so he can. And we keep telling Scott, you need to hurry up. Yeah. You need to hurry up and get that last boxes because we need to donate
these
this.
Thousands and thousands of photos would have been lost forever because they were sitting in a warehouse, no temperature controlled. It was a studio closed up since 2015, and they were gradually degrading. So we're glad we were able to document them. So
Well, you guys have earned that kind of trust.
Well, I appreciate that.
Those are my set questions for you today. But as I told you before we started, if there are things, you guys are doing awesome stuff. If there are things I didn't mention, please, by all means, know that you have all the time in the world.
Okay. I don't think we can ever stress enough how thankful we are for the LSUS Archives. They've just been great for us up there. They've encouraged us, and they've housed all these pictures that if they wouldn't have done that, they probably would have been lost to history. So we cannot thank them enough. And we want to thank the photographers like Bill Graybill and Birch Graybill,
J. Frank McEnany,
Jack Barham, Jay Frank, Thurman C. Smith, and I'm sure we're missing
Langston
some.
McEachern.
Yep.
And one funny thing we always say about Jay Frank, he was a photographer at the Shreveport Times. He chased ambulances and he chased fire trucks, and he had a police scanner, and anytime he heard it, he would be eating supper and he'd hear something, he'd jump in the car and take off. And a lot of times, like Sheriff Flournoy, one time he blew by Sheriff Flournoy on the way to an accident scene, and Flournoy was like, told him when he got there, don't you ever do that again.
Yeah.
I'll put you under the jail.
Yeah.
But it's funny because he took accident pictures, and we started a thing called History Saved by Accident, because he'd be taking pictures of car wrecks, and in the background you got all these beautiful buildings that we wouldn't have, like the Sunset Drive-In, or he had a picture, and it was right there, beautiful picture.
Yeah, and we can never thank those photographers enough, because if they wouldn't have taken those pictures, you have memories of stuff, but you forget. And then, like, a lot of times we'll find a picture like, never even thought about that, would have never in our lives thought about that again. We post a picture of it, and all these people are going, oh my gosh. And then they start commenting, and then their family, their friends from years ago start commenting. They start connecting back up, and it's just we love that aspect of it.
And I'm a big fan of LSUS and a big fan of archives. Do y'all have any idea, just if anyone's listening, how are the archives supported, and is there a way, do they need financial support, and how do they receive their, do you have any idea?
No, don't have a clue.
No, we do our best to get the word out there and show people how important it is for what they do. Because if they didn't do what they do, we wouldn't have all this history and legacy. It'd be lost forever.
It would be lost forever. That's good. That's right.
Yeah.
100, 200 years from now, because of the LSUS archives, they will have this history to look back to.
Yeah. And we want people to go to our Facebook page and follow us and become teammates and share.
Tell them what your Facebook page is exactly.
If you look up Twin Blends Northwest Louisiana History Hunters, actually, if you just pull up Twin Blends, it should show two pages. One's a group page and one's our main page.
The group page we started years ago, but then we realized we wanted to have a business page because you can do so much more.
Look for the one that has a lot more
that
followers than I. Just look for the one that is a lot more popular than anything I do, and join that one. And then what about your YouTube channel? What is
YouTube,
it called?
Twin Blends on YouTube. We've got some really good videos there.
Subscribe to their YouTube channel.
On YouTube, yeah. And we have Instagram. We had it on Instagram for years, and we had a lot of content. But then we kind of got busy with other things, and then when we went back to Instagram, all of the stuff was gone. So we've had to start over again, and it's not very much on Instagram.
And they can go. I can tell people too. They can go if they're interested, saying, "Man, I wish they had." I wonder if they had pictures of like Hamels or Ford Park. All you have to do is go to Facebook and search Twin Blends Ford Park, Twin Blends Hamels. It will pull up everything, every post that we've done. Sometimes Facebook's kind of hard. Sometimes we can't find our own stuff sometimes. But most time it'll pull up all the posts and pictures we've come through over the years.
Have y'all written a book yet?
That's what everybody tells us.
Everybody's starting to tell us that, but we wouldn't know where to start. And of course, it takes a little money. So, but that's something we're delving into.
We've got the pictures. We've got the ideas started. So that's definitely something in the future. So we want to do that.
Yeah, but anyway, and another thing I want to say is, that we gotten a lot of pictures of Hamels Amusement Park. We'd made some posts on Hamels a while back, last year or two, and then me and Mike were meeting up somewhere, and we were about to leave, and Mike called me back. He said, "You got to come back." He said, "Carolyn Hamel Griffin called me and want to know," she said she had pictures from her personal collection. Would we be interested in taking them and digitize them? And we're like, we're there. Well, I think we went that day.
Yeah, we did.
And we met her, and she is so sweet. Her and her husband, Dean, they just welcomed us in their house. And we walked in. They have a pool table set up. And she had like manila envelopes that had Lady Lima the elephant, Buddy and Susie the chimp, the hippo. I mean, it was, we were like, man, we were just blown away. But she was so sweet. And she trusted us with her collection, and so we went home, we did scanning, and we made posts and stuff, and we gave them back to her, and she was so sweet.
And we were able to honor her as well that night in Summer Grove when we were there. Mark said,
at Street Memorial Library when we were speaking, I said, how many people have been to Hamels Dairy? How many people's been to Hamels Zoo? How many people's been to Hamels Amusement Park? I said, how many people would like to personally thank a Hamel for that? And everybody, I said, well, there's Carol Hamel there. And
had her stand up. And it was
so
really
that's, that makes our day when we can spotlight these families from the past that have done so much for this area. Herschel Cobb and Cobb's Barbecue and his family. It's just it makes us excited because we get to honor these people of the past that we feel like have been forgotten.
They were huge parts
and their
of the
families
past.
did so much for this area. Yeah. And a lot of young people don't know that. And this is our way of honoring them. So
anything else you want to?
I can't think of anything offhand. I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah,
I mean, this has been really good. It's neat because we're usually in a rush trying to.
Yeah, and we do, like I say, we do have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and we have a Patreon account too. We have subscribers that send us monthly, so we can buy better equipment because we were going through a lot of these negatives, and we had to go out and buy a big negative scanner because you want to get these high definition scans, and then our mics and cameras and stuff like that.
What's your Patreon page? Do you know?
Just Twin Blends, and we also have people that donate to us. They just send us, they'll say thank you for your work. Here's something, and it helps us out with our expenses because for the past 8 years, 98%, 99% of stuff has been out of our own pocket.
Yeah, unless we go speaking engagements and stuff like that would help out. But all the gas and the trips and the this and that's all out of our pockets. Which we love to do, but sometimes. The money that people send in kind of helps us buy better equipment. When we first started, we had these microphones and we'd be talking and people be commenting, can't hear you. Yeah. And it's like, we'd test it, work great. Then we'd start the video, didn't work. And we're like, okay, we got to get better mic equipment. We won't seem like a couple of buffoons out here, even though we may be. But we just want to, we want to be good quality and, put out more content. So it helps us out. So.
Well, I'm inspired by what you guys are doing and really applaud it.
Thank you. Appreciate
you for having us, man. This has been great.
We've enjoyed this. Thank you. Yeah. We're excited.
Thank you. Well, I was excited to have you. And Ellen was super excited. So
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
All right.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.